morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in our lecture series. Today we're going to be talking about Montessori versus traditional. First, I need to know your background. Has anyone worked in a school other than Montessori before? You have. So you both worked in traditional settings?
Yes.
Okay. Just to start, which do you prefer, Montessori or traditional?
Montessori.
Montessori? And how come?
It's more efficient. It's more, the classes are more calm, more organized.
It's more efficient, more calm, more organized? Okay.
Children are just so much
Great. Okay.
more
And for Marie and Angie, who haven't worked in any other setting besides Montessori, this may be a good insight for you, in comparing both schools of thought. Okay. Let's just start out by the evidence that we have here on freedom within boundaries. As you all know from working here, the children have freedom within boundaries, and a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, that means they can just run wild and do whatever they want. Actually, children will radiate to where they belong. So for instance, the toddlers, the younger ones, 3-year-olds, will actually radiate to practical life where there's pouring and spooning and basic skills, the skills that they need to build their foundation. In a traditional setting, it is an open space, just like this is. However, it's a little more, well, it's louder, it's more teacher directed. For
and
instance,
there's not stuff like that.
exactly, we don't have that in traditional. So with SNAC, it is a teacher-driven directive for them. In other words, they sit around a table together, the teacher serves them, they feed themselves, but I'm not so sure they necessarily learn to pick up after themselves and wash dishes. Where here, they get their snack on their own. They pick a partner to have a snack with. They serve themselves Cheerios, fruit, whatever it may be. They clean up after themselves. They use the sink for their dishes, dry them, and put them away. And that teaches them self-sufficiency and really builds their self-esteem, rather than someone always doing for them. We want to get away from that. We have a lot of working parents today that feel the need that when they come home they have to do for their children. Not true. It's actually the opposite of that. We want to teach them to be independent as opposed to being served by others. Okay. In a Montessori education, the child is viewed holistically, valuing cognitive, psychological, and social and spiritual development, which we all see here every day. On the other hand, in a traditional education, the child is viewed in terms of competence, skill level, and achievement with emphasis on core curricular standards and social development. Okay, I have a daughter who works in the public school system. The one thing that she does not like about it, the main thing, is that everything is about the core curricular standards and the standardized test scoring. In the Montessori setting, we do not do standardized test scorings. We just evaluate them on the level of work that they're doing on a daily basis. So, but at 3 years old, they're doing pouring, spooning, lacing, working with water, learning how to use their pincher grip skills. By the time they're 4, they're doing language cards, they're doing metal insets, they're doing sounds, they're being introduced to numbers and possibly word building at that point, depending on their own level. And that is the glory of Montessori, where some 4-year-olds are ready for word building and some aren't. In a public school, everybody gets the same letter of the week, they get the same worksheets, they get the same everything. Where here, some 4-year-olds are still doing letter sounds, some 4-year-olds are doing word building. And they're free to go either way with that. Some parents have a misunderstanding when we say we don't push them ahead, but we also don't hold them back. Sometimes they hear we don't push them ahead, and they don't hear we're not holding them back. So as facilitators of a Montessori setting, we need to make sure that the parents realize that we definitely move them ahead without pushing them over their limits, but we certainly don't hold them back either. Again, in a traditional setting, everyone's doing the same thing at all times. Moving on to kindergarten, we have all the math work back here where they're doing, for instance, they're using, this is 1,000 cubes. They learn this was what 1,000 looks like. In a traditional setting, they're really using papers, where we have hands-on manipulatives. And it works from the unit 1 bead all the way up to the 1,000 cube. So they physically and tactilely see what they're learning, as opposed to just being on a piece of paper. I can remember I was in high school, after, going all through traditional school, and I didn't understand what 100,000 meant. And here I was 16, 17 years old, because I only ever saw it on a piece of paper. I never saw it physically. I never saw it in money. I never saw it in beads like we have here. I never actually saw what it looks like. And then I remember my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, had said to me, picture 100,000 stones just spread out over the lawn. And I went, oh, that's a lot of stones, But I never realized the quantity of it because I only ever saw it on paper. So it's almost like I memorized. That's what it looks like on paper, but what does it look like in the world? What is the meaning of it? Where here we learn the actual meaning of it. So for instance, in a Montessori classroom, a carefully prepared learning environment and method encourages development of internal self-discipline and intrinsic motivation. In a traditional environment, the instruction both individually and group adapts to the curricula for benchmarks. We don't have benchmarks here. Our benchmark is where the child belongs, where they belong, and they radiate. It's just like the old saying, water seeks its own level. Children will radiate to where they belong. It's very rare that a 3-year-old will come over here and want to do banking. It's like anything, as adults, if you can't sing, you're not going to join a choir. We know enough not to go in that territory because it's not for us, but if we're athletes, we know maybe we'll join a local softball team. Okay, that's how it is in a Montessori setting. They have the freedom of deciding, where do I belong in the world? What is it that I am good at? What is it that I enjoy? What is it that I need in my life? I've seen several boys work on the same activity over and over and over and over again. In a traditional setting, that's looked at as not quite a good thing. It's actually frowned upon. Here, we see it as a moment of where it's a need of fulfilling that particular work. It's a sensorial work, it's a building work, and that's a prerequisite to math. So maybe internally they know they're 4 years old, so they know they're ready for the math skills, they know it's coming, they know it's something they need to do, but they know they need to build a foundation before they actually work with the numbers over here. So what are they doing? They're doing the broad stair and the pin tower over and over and over and over again. And we allow that because that's where they need to be in the world, and they know that. They know that within themselves. They know that within their own soul. And we want to encourage that. We want them to be able to tap into their own senses and say to themselves, this is what I need to do today to fulfill my need. Where in a traditional setting, and I'm not knocking traditional settings because they have their pros and cons as well, but they're always being told what they need to do. And even as adults, do you want to be told what to do, or do you want to make your own decision for yourself? Absolutely, absolutely. So, yes. Now earlier today you asked me the importance of food prep. And this is I'm glad you asked that because it's a great opportunity for me to share that because it is on our topic list that we wanted to talk about today. Care of self and care of the environment. That is highly, highly, highly encouraged in a Montessori setting. They go over to the practical life area, they cut up their own bananas. Well, first they wash their hands, they take everything out, they put a smock on, they cut up their own bananas, and they serve their classmates. And it teaches them grace and courtesy. In a traditional setting, everybody, again, sits around a table and they're served the same food at the same time in the same place. Now, once they've learned to serve others, and they use please and thank you, which is more grace and courtesy that's emphasized, they clean up, they wash their dishes, they put it away, and again, self-sufficiency, care of the environment. It is important, especially in today's world when so many things are taken for granted, that they really value their environment, and they really care about their environment, and they don't want to see it a mess. They want to see it very well taken care of. And they want to, put everything back so that their next classmate will have the opportunity to do the same work as them. And it really makes them happy because then they learn to appreciate their room, they appreciate all the things. And I've had students even say to me, oh, Miss Lisa, so-and-so's not working with that properly because they've developed a care for it. Because this is their room, this is their second home. They come here, this is their home. And now they appreciate it, and they enjoy it, and they want to be here, and they want to help take care of it. And we give them that opportunity to take care of it. So in any event, at the end of the day, I think the best thing we can do is encourage the parents to keep them in a Montessori setting, because that's obviously what we believe in. And because I do feel that I've relayed a message of regarding the effects of learning in a Montessori setting as opposed to traditional setting. When you give the child a choice, for instance, you said earlier today, it's really nice that I'm able to give them two choices. Because what happens when you give them two choices?
They're able to make like one that is the correct one.
And at the end of the day, they've made their own choice. And it's better than being told, this is what I want you to do. It's like, all right, I'm doing it because she said so,
And it even works on, like I use it on my 12-year-old daughter.
right? And it works for her, and she's 12.
It works so well, like
Exactly, and she's 12 years old.
Right.
Yeah. Well, imagine how it works on 3, 4, and 5 when they're just,
And matter of fact, it even worked on my 16-year-old brother,
really?
really.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because people like choices. I'm even using it with my husband.
oh yeah?
Yeah. You have a choice, you can mow the lawn or paint the living room. No, but all kidding aside,
Doesn't work with mine. European doesn't work.
No.
with all humor aside, they will end up choosing the right thing. For instance, if we say to them, would you rather work with the materials properly, or if you don't work with them properly, we'll have to, do something else.
Right. Even when
And if
she-
they've chosen that work, it means they really want to work with it.
Right.
So, yeah. So in the end, they've made their own choice, and they're proud of it, and they work nicely with it, and it's all good. Everybody's happy.
It's actually very
It is. Anybody have any questions about what we discussed? Everybody's happy in a Montessori setting? Do you feel as though the parents understand what we're really doing here? Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes I think they need a little more communication,
Sometimes,
like you
yeah.
get ones that are just kind of confused and like
Yeah.
Charlie's mom really doesn't know
Yeah.
so much what goes on up here.
Right, and unfortunately, we live in a paper-productive world where everything's on paper.
Yeah, they think if we don't bring it,
And
they
if we don't bring enough
nothing
papers
home,
home,
they didn't do
nothing's getting
nothing.
done, but it's more hands-on here.
Right.
So it's something we as educators, really need to share with them as well.
That's what we have trouble with there.
We do newsletters once a month, we do that, which is nice, yeah.
Yeah, we do every week, every
Yeah.
day, every day we do it for day, no,
No,
we're
no,
there.
like the Montessori newsletters, like what is Montessori? You can set that
That's
up.
great,
So it's
absolutely.
kind of-
Yeah, so they get a better understanding of really what they're doing for their children, because we're really giving them a gift. So I want to thank you for sharing this morning session with us, and have an enjoyable day. Thank you. Thank you very much.